الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لك الفداء يا غريب يا مظلوم يا شهيد بأرض كربلاء السلام على من نحره منهور وصدره مكسور ورأسه على القناة مشحور وجسمه قد بقي 3 أيام بلا غسل ولا كفن بلا كافور أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتاب الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد أرسلنا موسى بآياتنا نخرج قومك من الظلمات إلى النور وذكرهم بأيام الله إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور صلوات الله محمد وآل محمد. Communities around the world have calendars. Calendars are supposed to be reminders. They record certain days. And we remember those days as important for our own well-being. Sometimes they are happy days, sometimes they are sad days. But we do remember those days as part of our identity. In a major understanding of human identity, sociologists have paid a lot of attention to the calendars. And they have discovered in the history, there's a good article on calendar, an encyclopedia of sociology. And it talks about human beings from day one on this earth have been counting days, have been keeping record of the days. If they could not write it, the script was not available, there was memorization. There were lines drawn in the mountains, on the walls, on the trees, so that the days would be remembered. What is not available to us in the study of world calendars is how the great leaders came and they plugged their own experience into a calendar. As you know, 25th of Zilqa'ad is the birthday of Jesus Christ in Muslim calendar. I don't know how many of you know. We have also a day which is known as Dahwul Arth. 25th of Zulqa'dah is known to be the birth of the earth. I don't know who saw it and who recorded it, but it's there. It is highly recommended that we fast on that day, on 25th of Zulqa'dah, as a meritorious act to increase our own spirituality. But I want to take you on a different plane. For the Quran, history has been very, very central. There are no complete historical narratives in the Quran. But the Quran has used every opportunity to draw your attention to an important event in the history. I call it didactic element, where the purpose is to teach. The purpose is to tell you that something important has occurred in the history of humanity. But in all these events that the Quran is citing, it is not so much the date which is important, but the event that occurred on that date is important. Especially those days which have remained as a reminder to you and me in our own spiritual and moral development. Days are remembered so that you and I would remember those moments when our attention was drawn for a certain purpose. That purpose is very much connected with your and mine personal development. I'm using personal. Individual development. Quran is aware that ultimately you stand alone in front of God. Your ultimate accounting is very individualistic in the Quran. Nafsin bin nafs. That day I will not recognize my parents, I will not recognize my family members. It will be me and my Lord. Labbaik ya Rabbi. What it underscores is that we all are individually responsible to find our niche in a calendar. Our connection in a calendar. You and I, we know what birthdays mean to all of us. Wedding anniversaries mean to all of us. I don't know, important days in our events, my father's death, my mother's death. All these are important part of our own identification. Sociologists would say it's very important to do that, so that you are connected with the event which makes a difference in your life. Remember an event that makes a difference in your life. Birthdays might not do it, anniversaries might not do it, but the death anniversary of your mother might do it. I'm simply citing an example. The day you had a surgery matters a lot, because that day you were given your life back. Let's say you are in an extremely urgent situation, emergency in the hospital. All these things matter. The day your doctor told you, you are safe, nothing will happen to you. That day might remain much longer in your memory than any other day, because your life was revived. Your hope was entertained. You became certain that I will continue to live much longer. I have children to take care of, I have my husband to take care of, my wife to take care of. This is a good moment for me to say that I should never forget 3rd of October, or 10th of November, or 12th of I don't know what month. Nabi Musa is being sent. Look at this. This is what I call several registers of the Quranic communication. Quran is communicating with the Prophet ﷺ at several levels. Because the audience of the Prophet is changing. Sometimes this situation, sometimes that situation, sometimes this personality, sometimes that enemy. Everybody wants attention. Some are criticizing, some are cynical, some are not believing in him. All this is part of the Quran, by the way. When the Quran is speaking about Nabi Musa alayhi salam, it has a purpose in mind. It's not the Arabs in the 7th century in Mecca did not know some of these people. They knew them. The information was there. It was part of the cultural information. Like you and I might know in certain cultures what has happened, and you don't need a special book to tell you about it. What the Quran is doing is, it is plugging into that information that is already in the background. It's using that psychology. The Quran is using a psychology of reminder, which has a significance to some communities' development. Might be collective development, might be collective information coming to the people. The ayah that I read, Surah Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ. See the way it changes? We sent Moses with signs. He was supposed to give those signs to the people. Now, those signs could be the miracles he performed. Those signs could be the teachings that he gave them. There's so much information available on this, by the way, in the Quranic commentaries. But I'm not going to the commentary. I want to approach the Quran as it speaks to you and me today. So keep that in mind. I want to understand why this ayat functions as a very important part of my own identity. What has Moses to do with my identity? You see where I'm coming from. I'm not simply relating to you the story of Moses. I don't want to do that, because I'm more concerned to show to you how Moses impinges upon my personality. It's very important to keep in mind the context in which I'm operating. The Quran starts a statement that is very general. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا. Allah is telling the Prophet that this is what we did. We sent Moses with signs to his people. Now the address changes. An akhrij qawmaka. All of a sudden, the address is to Moses. So that you, Moses, take out your community from what? Min al-dhulumati ila-nur. You take out your community from darkness to the light. This is the source of my, critical source of my conversation today with you. So that you take out your community, we sent Moses with our signs, our indicators, our miracles, whatever you want to understand from this ayatina. But the purpose of giving that blessing to Moses was so that he should take out akhrij qawmaka. O Moses, go to your community, tell them what you have brought to them for them, so that they would come out of darkness to the light. My question is that, what has that to do with me? History of the past, Hebrew Bible, the story is being told in the Quran, just a sentence. We sent Moses with our signs. Now there are several areas, in the Quran where Moses is mentioned. But here, my function in Surah Ibrahim is to point out that Moses alayhi salam Musa alayhi salam has been sent with signs peculiar to his own times, peculiar to his own community. After all, the Quran is quite clear. Go and teach your community. How do I come to it? How does the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes into it? If I am reading correctly, and if I understand the nuances of the Quran properly, then I can tell you with all confidence that this ayah has something to do with me. Maybe at that time, the conversation was between our Prophet and the Jewish community in Medina. Maybe. It could have been. The Jews were constantly protesting the claim of the Prophet. They couldn't stand it. How could a non-Hebrew be a prophet? For them, this was a burning question. It's only the children of Israel who are blessed. And the prophets will always be part of Banu Israel. And the Quran is saying, no, there's no such guarantee to anyone. That guarantee is not even given to Ibrahim alayhi salam. In the examination that Ibrahim alayhi salam passed, the Quran is pretty clear. Inni ja'aluka lin-nas imama. I am going to make you the leader of the people. Lin-nas imama. Not even your community, generality of human beings. And Nabi Ibrahim said, Amin duriyati. How about my descendants? La yanalu ahdi al-zalimin. My promise does not get to those who are wrongdoers. So he didn't give a blanket permission to the Banu Israel. Didn't say, Ibrahim, whatever your children do, they are going to be special chosen people. Didn't do that. The Quran is pretty clear that we are not going to give unearned excellence to anyone. You will have to earn it. You will have to get it. There's no such thing as a given. Yes, Allah's mercy covers all of us, by the way. All of us have tawfiq. If we did not have tawfiq from God, then we have been wronged. Astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, He favored some people and He left others unattended. That's not God. At least that's not the Creator who is creating all of us with equal guidance. There is no elitism in Islam. Keep that in mind. Nobody can come and claim to you, I'm special in the name of Islam. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. You are only special if you are morally and spiritually sound. That also you don't claim in front. The moment you claim, you've lost ground. Humility. First, humility. No pretension is supported by the Quran, by the way. Quran is worried that God will be abused by the people. Quran knows this is what the mushrikeen are doing. They can put the God, they used to carry the small stones, by the way. You know why we do Allahu Akbar like this? Because the Arabs used to have these stones in their hands. Allahu Akbar. But the God was here, the stone. And the Prophet said, open your palms. You don't have to do it, by the way. In those days it was required, otherwise they were cheating. They still had their gods. While they were saying La ilaha illallah, they still had their gods. Look at this situation. The Prophet is worried. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the worries of the Prophet. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Taha. Ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'an litashqa. Hey, we haven't sent you the Quran for you to be miserable. We want you to be confident. We'll help you out. We will not help you out in deciphering the munafiqeen all the time. You'll have to deal with them. I'm not going to give you a list of the people who are munafiqeen so that you can be aware of them. No, you will find them out. Because religion is always threatened sometimes from within. Those who threaten the religion from within are far more dangerous than those who are outside. Why? Because we thought that they were part of our community. We thought they were part of us. We trusted them, we gave them, we did that, and then we find them that they are betraying the cause. Imagine you are trusting your brother, you are trusting your son, you are trusting your daughter, and if they turn out against you, it's even far more painful than an outsider betraying you. Your business partner betrays you, takes away all your money. You have no access to anything. It happens in the world. It happens all the time, by the way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking Nabi Musa, I am giving you signs, go and take out your community from darkness or fictionalizing their history to the reality and the light of true history. I'm reading in between. You and I are gathered on a very important historical day in our calendar. What you and I cannot afford to do about Imam Hussein is fictionalize him. Are you with me? Don't fictionalize him. Don't make Hussein without, don't remove the humanity of Hussein, otherwise we will not be able to feel the pain. If Imam Hussein was a superhuman being and was sent to Karbala and was thirsty for 3 days, so what's the big deal about it? He was a superhuman being. He could do it. You and I cannot do it. And nobody would ask us to go 3 days without water and food. Nobody would do that. This is the challenge for today for you and me. To discover Imam Hussein in the rubble of fictions. And there are plenty of it. We have mystified Imam Hussein's personality to such an extent that we can't explain history anymore. I think what Moses did to Banu Israel was to make them... I firmly believe, now this is my idiosyncrasy, whatever you call it, it's up to you. I firmly believed that the message of Nabi Musa and the message of Nabi Ibrahim, the message of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was one and the same. If there is no idea of chosen people in the teachings of Muhammad, it can't be in the teaching of Moses. Are you with me? If today the Arabs say we are special chosen people, we are Banu Ismail, then that's a total lie. As much as to be Banu Ishaq is a total lie. Are you with me? There is no ethnocentrism in religion. It's your and my creation. We have created ethnic identity to a level whereby we deprive others of their rights through our ethnic claims. White ethnocentrism. You have the reverse black ethnocentrism. You have the reverse of Kurdish ethnocentrism. You have Turkish ethnocentrism. The ethnocentrism is growing day by day. Have you noticed this? In the modern times, instead of praying down the ethnic identities, we are now bringing them up. More and more, more and more, more and more. And there are forces that are helping us to do it. There are many, many forces that do it. I'm moving in the ayah and I'm coming to this amr. And I will ask this question, which is very obvious. Zakirhum bi ayyamillah. Who is being told to remind the community about their history? Is it Nabi Musa? Or is it the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who is receiving the wahy? From the ayah it seems Nabi Musa is being told, Akhrijhum, take them out, Akhrij qawmaka min al-dhulumat ila an-nur, wa dhakkirhum bi ayyamillah. And remind your own people about the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the history. Yawm is a history. An event in the history that you and I cannot forget. An earthquake happens. Terrorist attack happens on the 9/11. You will never forget that. You will never forget that scene that appeared on the television screens on that morning. You will never forget it. There are so many things you don't want to forget, and you should never forget. What I am searching for is dhakkirhum bi ayyamillah. This dhakkir, the same word dhikr is from this very verbal form, that the Quran is imperative form. Do it. Do remind them. Remind them. Not of one day. No, or not only yom. Ayyam. Days. Give them the history. Tell them, remind them. What will they learn from that history? Now the Quran is going to draw a larger conclusion. Look at the conclusion. From here onward, dhakkirhum bi ayyamillah, it is a universal message. Not to any particular community. Not the Arabs, not the Jews, not anyone. It's universal. It also covers you and me. That's why I say this ayah is pertaining me. It's talking to me about my identity. It's telling me the commandment is not only to the Prophet Moses, it's not only to the Prophet Muhammad, it's to you and me. Tell history of your family to your children so that they don't forget who you are. Your identity depends on telling the true story about your life to your children. If you never tell them the true story of your life, then they will fictionalize you as their parents. And you will lose touch with them. As soon as you die, they forget you. You understand what I'm saying? Mother and father, tell the truth to your children about your history, personal history. If you don't do it, if you hide it, they will never know who you were. Children always want to know. They feel very good when they know their parents' weaknesses, they know their parents' strengths, they know. They are observant. You can't hide from them. You can't, project yourself as a good person when you are not a good person. Your children are very smart and they know you are not a good person. They know it. Don't try to tell them other stories about yourself. Dhakkirhum bi ayyamillah is relevant to you and me, so that we should engage in telling them our true stories of our life, so that they don't get misled by us through fictions that we create about ourselves. I was so good, my son Ali. Oh, I was so good, I was this, I was this, I was this. And one day Ali finds out, wow, Dad made all these empty claims about himself. Now I realize my dad was all empty. Do you see what's happened? Do you see what you are doing? How you are harming an identity that can remain very firm? In a modern day, modern psychologists are very much worried of what we call identity disorder. Don't confuse your children. Tell them exactly what you want them to be. Now, they might not accept you. I don't mean to say they always are willing to listen and accept. No, they might not accept you. But you have given the foundation which is firm enough. It cannot be shaken. If tomorrow something about you reveals, something about me reveals, my children will not be shocked. Do you understand what I'm saying? If I am a thief, I've covered it up all my life. I never told them that I cheated my brother, I cheated my father, I cheated my friends, and I made these millions and millions of dollars for myself and for my family. One day, if my son finds out that this is what I did in my life, what legacy am I leaving for my son? think for a minute. Nabi Musa is being told the function of history is to take people out of darkness towards light. If I didn't tell you the honest story of Ashura, then you will say, oh my God. We came here on the Ashura day to sit and listen to this man, who's giving us all lies about Ashura. He doesn't tell us the truth. Has nothing to support what he says. That's what we do in the majalis. If I want to make you cry, I really make a very dramatic thing about Karbala, and you all begin to cry and say, wow, that was a good majlis, wasn't it? I have never done that, and I will never do that. I better cry myself. But I won't force you to cry by telling you fictions. Nabi Musa is being warned. Your community is in darkness. It's your function as my representative to take those signs and give them so that they come out of the darkness to the light. They should understand their history more accurately from you. Coming from you, it has to be nothing but truth. Do you see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing? And then he goes on. ذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَامِ اللَّهِ. Remind them of the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are these days? Ya Allah, all the days are yours. What should Nabi Musa know? What should I know? Your days. How should I know what it is? These days and the reminding of these days actually lead us to accept the consequences of patience and gratitude. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِلصَّبَّارٍ شَكُورٍ. When this history is told very correctly, when this history is not distorted by your own tradition, by your own imagination, then this history can become a source of sabbar and shakur. Look at the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sabbar. Not sabir. No, that's too little. That's only patience. No, sabbar, very patient. Teaches you perseverance. To stand on your principles and not to sacrifice them. Yes, not to sacrifice them. How difficult it is to stand firm in what you believe. Isn't it? Have you tried? Especially if you're odd. If you're not a normal individual who doesn't fit very well into these all kinds of things, going around you, then you become alone, you become lonely. There's no way for you to be there. Look at the challenge the Quran is posing to you and me today. The relevance of history for you and me, not for the past. While we are living, we want to understand Fatima Zahra. We want to understand Zainab al-Kubra. We want to understand Umar Rabab. We want to understand Abul Fazl Abbas. Is there any other purpose for us to come to these majlises? Oh, meet friends, socialize. Okay. All right. So we meet friends, we talk about our business. Oh, I didn't see you all these days. Where were you? Oh, I'm here, Why don't you come to the majlis? We meet. So why don't you come for Salatul Jummah? We'll have lunch together. Salatul Jummah will happen, but we'll also we'll meet people and, we'll talk and joke. Nabi Musa is being told, now that's not religion. Nabi Musa is being told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا. In this laqad means we have definitely sent you with the purpose on this earth. Don't take it lightly, oh Moses. Nabi Musa and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have a very good relationship, by the way. There are a lot of conversations reported in the Quran itself. Usually, Hebrew prophets were smart. If the Miraj story is correct, the Prophet ﷺ, when he was going in Miraj, he met Nabi Musa on the way. While he was going in the sky, I don't know exactly where. Was it Aqsa? Where did he see Nabi Musa? Nabi Musa said, what happens? How many prayers have been determined by God for your community? And the Prophet said, there are numbers of them. So you better go and negotiate a fewer numbers. Nabi Musa alayhi salam is negotiating fewer prayers. Nabi is telling the Prophet, you negotiate, otherwise you look at my community. They have to pray for this, and that. And they're constantly in prayers. You better negotiate a better terms. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Nabi, our Prophet told Allah, that, my community will not be able to pray more than one. Now, the Prophet didn't know there will come a time they won't be able to do one. Well, he said, anyways, we keep the minimum number 5. How long will it take? It will take about 17, 18 minutes per day. Of 24 hours, Allah said, okay, I give you. But who taught this? If the fiction is correct, then Nabi Musa was smart. He knew how to negotiate with God for his own community. He's teaching the Prophet, you negotiate the same thing for your community. Otherwise, your community will be miserable with the burden of religion on them. Like the Jewish community, Orthodox Jews are extremely burdened by it. What I'm suggesting here is, history must be remembered for a lesson that it gives you. Otherwise, we are wasting our time. Why don't we read a novel at home? Read a good novel by this African-American author, or by this Algerian author, Amin Maalouf. Read his books about crusades, You read them and now whatever it is, at least it's a book, it has footnotes, and you know that it is not a total lie. But when you come to these kind of gatherings, we, those who inform you, have a tendency to exaggerate. We have a tendency to give you more than what we should be giving you in the name of religion. And that's dangerous, to put it very mildly. Because the moment you learn that you were told fictions from this seat, you will lose your faith. There's no way you can maintain your faith. Unless you say, that man was lousy. He was dishonest. Okay, we get a better person. But I'm telling you, this chair is very challenging. Very challenging. I am moving on. It's not a day of long discourse. It's a day of mourning. It's a tragedy. In the human history, tragedies should never be forgotten in any community, whether it is Holocaust, or homicide, or genocide, Armenian genocide, I don't know which genocide. You can open history books and you find what people have done to each other. Human beings are cruel to one another. Those moments should never be forgotten. And they should not be denied. My Sunni brothers and sisters, the only concern I have with them is that they are saying, it's not what happened. Hussein went for political ends. He stood against the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. How could anybody allow such a thing to happen in the government? It would have destabilized the state. That's what I read, by the way. You can open cyberspace and you'll find those articles there. In other words, Imam Hussein had a political ambition. That's why he said Muslim in Aqil, and it goes on and on and on and on. If a person is really politically motivated to go and take such a risk, why involve the family? That's a very important question. You never involve your family members in your ambition or political ambition. We find South American political leaders, what they are doing, what kind of corruption they are spreading. We're also looking at, in the Middle East, the rulers who are completely autocratic, completely corrupted. They don't draw their families in. Of course, the families benefit from what they have. They get all the money, whatever it is, They're all riding Lamborghini, and I don't know. They are living like princes. They go to Las Vegas, lose thousands and millions of dollars, It's a very dirty world. My dear friends, it's a very dirty world. Very dirty world. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, like Nabi Musa, he enters the scene of history with a determination to make it clear that dhakkirhum bi ayamillah, this zikr, this remembrance of God's days would start with his name. He was not engaged in self-importance of any kind. Dr. Shariati, in his book on Shahadat, he says that Hussein bin Ali was daring. Nobody in his place would have taken that step, by the way, to challenge the government, present government. Nobody would have done it. Imam Hassan did it, you know that. And Imam Hassan did not get the support that he was looking for. So Imam Hassan left the grounds for his younger brother. Now historians are telling us the younger brother had a different temperament. Older brother had a different temperament, younger brother had a different temperament. The older brother was more inclined to make peace. That's what our sources are telling us. You open Sahih Bukhari and you look in the Fadail, in the Manaqib of Hassan ibn Ali, that's what they say about Hassan ibn Ali. Abu Bakr used to love Hassan, by the way, Hassan bin Ali, because Hassan reminded him of the Prophet. He had a Prophet's visage. He was very much like the Prophet. And he used to kiss, and he saw that the Prophet ﷺ used to carry Hassan on his shoulders, and he would go around. And this was known to everyone, that he paid attention. But Imam Hussein had a different temperament. He was more firm in his decision to say, I will confront the enemy regardless of what he does to me. I will not let him alone. I am going to stand firm. Hussein ibn Ali then temperamentally was prepared for Karbala. But what is important to keep in mind is that he is the Moses of Karbala. He came with a clear sign in his mind, with a clear mind, that I will talk to these people and I will remind them what they are, what I am. And I'm surprised when I open the book, when I see his khutbah on the Ashura day, I'm surprised the way the khutbah is moving. Today you know that Aziz is in his mood of Ashura. and I know by now you know me quite well, that I'm in my mood of Ashura. I'm struggling with my own self. What exactly should I do? Because I have a responsibility. Imam Sahib al-Zaman will ask me, I taught you how to deal with this religion. I taught you. You knew nothing. You had no knowledge whatsoever. When I used to write Ariza in Dar es Salaam, when I was very young, I used to write to Imam Sahib al-Zaman that I want to be educated. Because I was poor. There was no hope that I could be educated. There was no money. Every year after year after year, I wrote to Imam Sahib al-Zaman, we used to write this Ariza on the 15th night of Sha'ban. In the mosque we sit, we write Ariza. In the morning we go and throw the Ariza in the ocean. You think they were never received? I think they were received, in my own belief, in my own faith. That's why I got the opportunity to study. I have got the opportunity to increase my knowledge. Now, however little I know, but believe me, starting from University of Toronto, and up to now, I have always found people who are willing to teach me. Because I still need to learn. I haven't ended my learning, no. It would be a mistake for you to say, oh, well, he's a top professor. Oh, I don't know. What do you mean by top professor? Does he sit on the roof? Oh, what happens? Oh, what does he write? Oh, he writes. Okay. So you can find out what I am through the books that I write. That's the best way to find me out. Because there's no pretension, especially the last book that I wrote, Islam and the Challenge of Human Rights. No pretension. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'll be very honest. If you want to discover me, that's the book that you will discover me. I'm asking a simple question. Imam Hussein is giving his khutbah on the day of Ashura. Doesn't he know these people don't accept him? Who thinks that the people in Karbala would have accepted him? You think they would have accepted him? Did he have even a grain of faith that these people would listen to me? My goodness. He has been talking to them all the time. Whenever he gets an opportunity, he tells them. He gives them information. Why would he not know enough? If I knew you don't want to listen to me, I wouldn't speak to you. It's as plain as that. Unless you're getting big checks, then I would speak to you. Or I'm getting my $2,000 for each lecture. Then I need that money and you need to support me, I need to support you. But I don't depend on you, you don't depend on me. If I know, even for a minute, that you don't want me to be here, I won't come. Why wouldn't I come? Because if I came, I would be a hypocrite. Talking to the people who don't like me. Why should I do that? Who are you? After all, you're fellow human beings, like me. If you are a student, I'm a student. If you are teachers, I'm a teacher. If you are a father, I'm a father. Everything that you have, I have, you have, I have. Why should I depend on you? For with amri ila Allah, my function, my job is to hand over to God. Imam Hussein is in Karbala. He has tested them from the 2nd of Muharram. He was with the Hur and with the army of the Hur continuously. Hur would not leave Imam Hussein. He would actually walk with him. And they would engage in conversation, by the way. Hur knew what Imam Hussein was. He couldn't come out openly. He couldn't do it. But he knew what Hussein bin Ali was. And he didn't want to leave his company. Imam Hussein, he told Imam Hussein, I'm going to walk with you because I've been told to guard you so that you don't run away. That was the kind of a language. This is what Hur understood. That maybe if Hussein, ran away or, went away somewhere, then I will be creating problems for myself. I'm a commander. Appointed by Yazid, appointed by, Ibn Ziyad and so and so. I'm accountable to them. How can I let somebody they want very badly, let him go? Who realized it on the Ashura night that he should have let Imam Hussein go? Then he realized it, because history tells us that he was very remorseful. He didn't want really. He told Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, when he came to Imam Hussein, he told him quite clearly, Mawla, I did a wrong to you. I shouldn't have stopped you. You should have gone. You could have gone anywhere. I have brought you here. I have caused all these problems to you. How many people are willing to tell you that I'm the one who is the culprit? I'm the one who caused you all these problems. Even in friendship, we don't tell each other. We don't tell each other honestly. My friend will feel bad. But here is Hur and Imam Hussein, they have such a relationship. This is what I call spiritual master and disciple. Don't have to be a Sufi. You be Imam Hussein. And Hur is the disciple. And how they are moving, how they're coming to Karbala. Imam Hussein is Nabi Musa of Karbala. ذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. Remind them of the days of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and look at the khutbah, what he says. قال ابن سعد وينكم كلموه, let him, when Ibn Abi. Because when Imam Hussein started talking, speaking, they said, this is the son of Ali. Ali was a good speaker. This is the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. He has inherited the khitaba. He knows how to be rhetoric. They knew everything. They knew the genetic connection to what Imam Hussein could deliver. Imam Hussein, at that point, after he had already given some introduction, and he spoke. With the thirst of that day, with the sun having come up, and he chose a camel to sit on. A camel was the animal of peace. When you wanted to negotiate peace, you sat on a camel. When you wanted to fight, you sat on a horse. He took a camel. Not only a camel, a she-camel, naqa. A she-camel. And then Arabs knew the camels very well. He's sitting on a she-camel, and he's going to talk to us. فقال علي بن حسين بن علي أقول اتقوا الله ربكم ولا تقتلوني. Ya Hussein, did you know they will kill you? You're telling them, don't kill me. اتقوا الله. Have this fear of God, have this consciousness that God is watching you, all your actions are consequential. Don't kill me. فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَحِلُّ لَكُمْ قَتْلِي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't made it lawful for you to kill me. He hasn't done it. وَلَا أَنْتَحَاكَ. And don't even, insult me and go and attack my repute and everything in the heart. Hitk hurmat is to cut down all the questions of inviolability, so to speak. Human life is no more inviolable. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as a human being, I must be spared. وَلَا أَنْتَحَاكَ حُرْمَتِي فَإِنِّي إِبْنُ بِنْتِ نَبِيِّكُمْ. I'm analyzing the speech of Imam Hussain today. And Imam Hussain is saying, I am the son of, the daughter of your prophet. It's not very Arab to introduce yourself to the mother. It's not Arab. You're the son of your father. You always mention your father. I'm the son of so-and-so. I am the son of the daughter of your prophet. And not only that, فَإِنِّي ابْنُ بِنْتِ نَبِيِّكُمْ وَجَدَّتِي خَدِيجَةٍ. Wow! Another woman. First it was Fatima's connection, now Khadija. Look at Imam Hussain, what he's doing. Sisters realize how he has honored all of you as my sisters, by the way. He could have said, I'm the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. Instead, using his mother, Fatima. Then he's using his grandmother, Khadija. Look at the way he's moving. This is the miracle of Imam Hussein's speech on that day. And look at what he says. And Ibn bint Nabiyikum, وَجَدَّةِ Khadija, زَوْجَةَ Nabiyikum, your prophet's wife. You see, the way he's connecting himself to the prophet. وَلَعَلَّهُ قَدْ بَلَغَكُمْ قَوْلَ نَبِيِّكُمْ الْحَسَنَ وَالْحُسَيْنِ سَيِّدَ الشَّبَابِ أَهْلِ الْجَنَّةِ. And probably, he said, you might have heard what my grandfather said about me and my brother. Al-Hasan al-Hussein said, the Shabab al-Jannah. This is introduction. So I'm speaking to you on the day when you all disagree with me. You all decided we don't want Abdulaziz in this gathering, let's say. And I come and present my credentials to you. Why don't you want me? I'm so-and-so, I was the student of so-and-so, I studied so-and-so, I went to this college, I went to this university. I'm not that hopeless person that you are considering me. Look at this. Look at the psychology Imam Hussain is engaged in preparing the community. You people, you should know who I am. Don't make an excuse tomorrow that you didn't know my credentials. My credentials are quite clear. I'm the son of the daughter of your prophet, and my grandmother Khadija was your prophet's wife. This is the way he's introducing himself. And now he says, he comes here. أما بعد فانصبوني وانظروا من أنا. Look at my connections. True to see how I'm connected and related. Would you look at me? Would you pay attention? Wanduru is not only look at me, ponder about me, think about me. Say, at least you know who I am. Thumma. Once you know me, now look, this is the weapon that Imam Hussain is using. And this is the weapon I have exposed in these lectures here. This is the weapon I have taught you. How to distinguish a true person and a false person. And this is where hypocrisy must be located carefully. After you have known my credentials, after you know me properly, now, ثم ارجعوا إلى أنفسكم وأعتبوها فانظروا هل يصلح ويحل لكم قتلي. Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussein is all alone, by the way. Can you imagine? There are times when you want your friends to be with you, to support you, your sister, your mother, your father, to be with you, to support you, to give you the courage that you don't have anymore because of the animosity that is being shown to you. Look at the way Imam Hussein is approaching the whole subject. After you know me who I am, then go to your conscience. Irju ila anfusikum. Go to your conscience and ask this question: is it appropriate? Is it legitimate to kill me? See how he's approaching? Wallah, Imam Hussein is very, very, very lonely and madloom. I haven't seen anybody like him in the history. Talking to his own people. My brothers and sisters, it's not without reason that you and I are so closely aligned with Ahlul Bayt. Because we know there is something that they can give us back. What Ahlul Bayt can give you and me is our conscience intact. It's a big gift from them. The moment your conscience dies, you are dead as a human being. You are no more fit to be a member of human community because you don't have conscience. Come on, wake up. And this is what Imam Hussein is saying, that go to your inside of you and ask this question: is it okay to kill me? هل يحل لكم قتلي? Is it legitimate for you to get rid of me, to kill me? أَلَسْتُ بِنْتَ نَبِيِّكُمْ? Am I not the... Again, same thing. And what I want to bring out something very important that I got in the Quran. That Nabi Musa is being told that I'm sending you with signs. You go to your community, wake them up, bring them out of their self-cultivated ignorance to the light that you are supposed to give them. Because Nabi Musa's Tawrat is described in the Quran as Nurun wa Rahma. Tawrat is described in the Quran. Look at the respect the Quran gives them. Oh, look what they do to us, by the way. They don't like the Quran. They are so hateful of the Quran. Here the Quran says, Tawrat, Nurun wa Rahma. Nabi Musa was given the light and the mercy of God. Through what? Through the scriptures that he brought to his people. In other words, the Quran is cognizant. There's a cognitive power in the Quran to say that I know what I'm doing. This is what the Quran is telling you and me. I know what I'm doing. What I'm giving to you is a key code. You and I are looking for a key code in our life. What exactly is the code that I can use to further my own spiritual and moral interests? And the code is very clearly dhikr. Dhakkirhum bi-ayamillah. To remember and remember and remember and turn into an internal energy the remembrance of the history. You and I are engaged in remembering Imam Hussein alayhi salam today. I'm towards the end now. I finish my discourse. My message is with you. And you'll remember for the rest of your life that this is how I explained to you on the day of Ashura. The mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was no different than the mission of Musa alayhi salam. What a coincidence that today the community of Moses and the community of Hussein are remembering their histories together. I don't know. No, not together. I'm making a mistake. They're separately remembering their histories. And there are misgivings on both sides, by the way. How can I believe in any Jew? Oh, they are saying, how can I believe in any Muslim? They're all terrorists. What a shame, isn't it? The Quran is showing us the source of dialogue. The source of dialogue are the religious founders, their scriptures, the way they teach us, the way they exemplify them. These are the sources for you and me. Imam Hussain is standing today in Karbala all alone. Imagine those who are killed from morning until evening. Imam Hussain was so strong, my brothers and sisters. You can't believe that this man was hungry for 3 days and had no drink for 3 days. You can't even believe it. What Tabari is telling, Tabari is drawing a scenario. Tabari draws pictures. That's what good historians do. They give you a narrative which comes to life. When you read them, you can feel as if the life is being told. You are being inspired of somebody's inspiration. And Tabari says, when the Sahaba, when any of the companions of Hussein, anybody who died in the battlefield, Hussein would go with his brother and he would himself dismount the horse, carry the body, and jump on the horse and bring the body back to where the Shuhada were put. Of course, a lot of strength. Have you tried to pick up a heavy backpack and ride a horse? If you went to Kashmir for a tourism, then they do give you this big backpack, and you are climbing now, Gulmarg. There's an area, beautiful area that you go. Here is Hussein. From morning, he's seeing death after death. He has experienced something that you and I cannot even imagine. Loneliness is one thing in life. But having been with your family members just an hour or two ago and having lost them is another experience. It's not an easy experience. It's not easy to remember and to imagine how we miss them when we need them the most, right? Then Imam Hussain is looking, Yamino Yasar, Abbas, where are you? Ali Akbar, where are you? I don't see these sentences in history, but I imagine he must have done it. He must have said it. Maqtal says it. Maqtal has more details. Kitab al-Maqtal is imagining things, and sometimes I cannot accept what they say because it is fictitious. I don't know. I really don't know how to ascertain their validity. But Imam Hussain must have looked from the halls. This Karbala, the plain of Karbala, had no buildings like they have today. You could see from this end to that end without any problem. And here's Abbas sleeping, on the bank of the Euphrates River. And Imam Hussain is looking at his brother, says, Abbas, you are not here anymore. Ali Akbar, you are not here anymore. Because Ali Akbar, he brought him inside. He did not leave Ali Akbar, by the way. He could not carry him himself. He told the children, carry your brother back to the tent. What a day. What a day. It's a day of separation. Separation from your loved ones, for whom you care, whom you love. You cannot imagine Imam Hussain alayhi salam was a very loving person, by the way, from all that we read, all that we see. People used to remember Imam Hussain as the grandson of the Prophet, whom Prophet used to love so much. Sahih Muslim gives us the story of this. One day the Prophet was praying and Hussain was a small boy. And he was, by praying, he was giving the khutbah. He was giving the sermon, and Hussain was coming in the mosque. But, the mosque and the home were all connected. And Hussain was walking with his dishdasha, with his long gown, and he fell. And Sahih Muslim is telling us the Prophet stopped his khutbah, got down on the minbar, and picked Hussein up and brought him on the minbar with him. You see the humanity? You see the humanity? And not only that, he looked at the crowd and he said, Mansur, help him. As if he was looking at the future, he said, Mansur, help him when he calls for help. Today Hussein in Karbala was calling out, Hal min nasirin yansurana, hal min mu'inin mu'inina, hal min mughithin mughithana. And the time was coming very close. He was injured. They hit him. Tabari tells us, they hit him so much. Later on, Imam Ahmad Baqir said he had 340 wounds on his body, on the front of his body, 340 wounds. He was stuck with the arrows. Those who didn't have anything, they had no arrows, they collected stones in their laps and they threw stones at him. Huh? It's not easy. It's not easy, that kind of cruelty is not easy to take it. Imam Hussein was still standing. When he fell from the horse, he fell on his right cheek. And that means he was trying to support himself. I'm reading history, by the way. I'm not reading Maktab. No, I'm not reading Maktab. He fell on his right cheek. He fell and he stood up again. Can you imagine? The strength, the inner strength that he had, he stood up again. And he walked towards the tent. He came near the tent, he was totally injured. When Bibi Zainab saw him like this, she couldn't believe it, that he was so wounded. Imam Hussein said, I want to see my son. I want to see Ali. He came inside. Bibi Zainab with him. And there are arrows. Imam Zain al-Abidin is unconscious. He was suffering from diarrhea. He was unconscious. Bibi Zainab comes, wake up, Sajjad, wake up. Your father is here. Imam Zain al-Abidin opens the eyes and he sees a very strange figure with all the arrows. He said, Father, is that you? He said, yes, ya bunayya, ani abuk. Sajjad, I have come to bid you farewell. What? Where is my brother? Where is my uncle? He's asking. Imam Hussein says, look, besides you and me, there's no one in this tent left. Only two of us. So Sajjad, you are the Imam after me. You are responsible to guide this community, this family. And he gave him the message. He said, you know, when you go back, they will ask you in Medina. It is my wasiyah to my followers. Look at what Imam Hussein did to you and me. He greeted us all on that day. He said, give them my greetings. My followers, greet them my greetings. And tell them that whenever they drink water, they should remember me. How thirsty he must have been. Give them my greetings and let them remember me whenever they drink water. Tell them I died of thirst. I was killed when I was thirsty. Imam Zain gets back and several times he makes a request for water. Would you believe that? He wanted to make every hujjah possible, every proof he wanted to give. That look, the people I'm confronted with, who are these people? Who are these Muslims? Who are these people who are praying 5 times a day? They have no humanity left in them. Please give me water. Please give me water. When he fell on the ground, the only thing he wanted, he fell on his back, by the way. He fell on his back. And he said, Sharbat min al-ma', a drink of water. Al-atash, al-atash. I can't go into details, I only know that they all went around him, they all stood around him. I won't say anything more. The only thing I can tell you is that Zainab was not very much at peace in the khayma. She was going around, running around. Imam Zainab said, don't leave the khayma. All of a sudden, Zainab is on the gate, near that screen that separated the outside wall from the tent. And he's looking at the sky, she's looking at the sky, and she sees the sun is in eclipse. It's all dark. While she's seeing this, she's hearing Jibreel crying out, Allah, Qutil al-Husaynu bi. Allah Zubih al-Husayn bi Karbala. Allah Qutil al-Husayn. Zuljana akbar min al-Maidan khali. Wow. Zuljana. Zuljana came back. And Sakina saw Zuljana. Look at this animal, the way we remember this Zuljana. The animal is celebrated today. And Sakina is asking, is actually seeing the horse, and the horse knew that my master was very close to this girl. Horse comes, and moving towards Sakina. Sakina is asking, where is my father? Where is my father? Where did you leave my father? Ya Hussein, this is the day. It's the day of Hussein. Ya 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 Hussein.